Hi there, this is Mike Cagley. Welcome to Eye on the Illini. Tonight we have legendary Illini point guard Derek Harper. Played with the Illini from 1980 to 1983. Was probably one of the first national recruits to ever hit the Illinois hardwood. And boy, was he a lot of fun to watch. We'll be right back after these messages. This is Mike Kegley. As promised, Derek Harper, Illini legend, who really is one of the guys that built this program. We've been very fortunate over the last few weeks to talk to people like Deon Thomas, Eddie Johnson, Stephen Bardo.
Yeah,
Derek, I'm telling you, the time that you were at University of Illinois was a time that a lot of us, it was just magic because the program had been just a pedestrian program. And then Eddie Johnson comes
yeah.
along, you join him, and it turned into just magic. What was it like being there and building that program up?
Uh, a lot of fun, to be honest with you. And don't forget about the other guys,
Oh, yeah.
Perry Range, James Griffin, Mark Smith, Bruce Douglas. There's so many guys when you start, Mike, talking about Illinois and its growth as a university, that you can't just say Eddie and I. You got
Right, exactly.
there's more to it than that. They've had the alumni have had a lot of success, and it was surreal for me because I came in from Florida at the time. I came in from West Palm Beach, and Coach Henson, Coach Yates, obviously is the guy that is responsible for me being in Champaign, if you would, Coach Nagy. But it was a fun time. It really was. I think anytime you're a part of something that's new, something that's growing and moving in a different direction, it's always a lot of fun. So I completely enjoyed it. The experience playing with Bruce Douglas, Greg Tucker, Perry Range, like I said earlier, Derek Holcomb, just all of your guys, all of those, a lot of those Peoria guys. Kevin Bontemps is another guy that I hold dearly to my heart. So putting things in the right direction with those guys was fantastic.
Now, you were super highly ranked coming out of high school.
Yeah.
How many schools were after you? And how did Illinois get a guy from West Palm Beach to come to Champaign?
I can't tell you, like, I can't tell you that, Mike. But no, in all seriousness, in all seriousness, I wanted to play in the Big Ten. When I came out of college, I was being recruited by everybody, to answer your first question. And Johnny Orr was at the University of Michigan at the time. And if he hadn't left and went to Iowa State, I would have gone to Michigan. That's where I wanted to go. I don't know if you remember Anthony Carter was
Yep.
a football player at the time at Michigan. We grew up together in the same area down in Florida. And had Johnny Orr not left, I wouldn't have gone to Illinois. I would have went to Michigan, but it turned out perfectly, man. I got to play with Eddie, with Mark Smith, play for Coach Henson, and just really enjoyed my time there. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better college career. I started my freshman year. Bruce Douglas. He came in and moved me from the 1 to the 2, and I flourished from there. I had a great 3-year run with the Illini.
Growing up in Muhammad, we were all huge Illini fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then we knew you were really good. And we're like, oh, I hope he doesn't go pro after his junior year. I hope he doesn't go pro. And then we were all boo hoo hoo and feeling sorry for ourselves when you
Yeah.
went pro.
You know, I to be perfectly honest, and you know, you can be candid now, what, 30, 40 years later,
Yeah.
or 20 years later, you can talk about everything. I knew I was leaving after my third year in the Big Ten. I knew I was going to leave. My sole purpose is always to play in the NBA. That's something that I wanted, something that I prepared for, I trained for, all of those beautiful things. And even though I didn't make it public right away, Mike, I knew I was getting ready to leave. I hated to go out that way because I think Coach Henson, Coach Yates, Coach Nagy, all those guys were kind of curious. They knew, I think, in their hearts. Lauren Tate, the great Lauren Tate, I think he knew in his hearts of hearts, and that's what it turned out to be. You know, I think everybody has the ambition of being an NBA basketball player, and I was no different. And I thought I was good enough. I had a great junior year, and I just thought it was time. I mean, I thought I was good enough to take that next step, and decided to leave Champaign and take it to the next level.
Yeah, and we all knew, because you could see on the court, and yet from the Illini fan standpoint, we always thought that 83, 84 team, it doesn't lose at Kentucky no matter what the refs do if you're on the team. That's how we looked at it.
Well, you're far too kind, and I appreciate that. But I don't know if you remember, I went to Rump Arena as a freshman and played against Bowie. And don't go look at my numbers, Mike, because they were absolutely horrible. I had one of the toughest games that I ever had as a college player when we played Kentucky my freshman year. And so, you know, you had Kyle Macy, Dirk Minifield, a lot of great college players, and I just couldn't get myself together. But you know, it would have been different. I think, you know, Bruce is one of my favorite guys, Bruce Douglas, that is. And I thought we could handle any backcourt in the country at that particular time. His ability to defend, my ability to defend, his intelligence as a point guard coming from Quincy, it boded well for me. And I give Bruce a lot of credit. I still owe Bruce because he's the one that made things a little easier for me when I got to Champaign. He played that one extremely well. I mean, a student of the game. I think one of the most overrated college players in the league is Bruce Douglas. He was sensational as a teammate.
He was on the show a couple of years ago, and you literally have to try to not like Bruce Douglas. I mean, he's just that nice of a guy. Some people aren't that nice. I'm not that nice of a guy, but
you know,
he is that nice.
Bruce is probably too nice, Mike.
Yeah.
He's probably too nice of a human being. He's a great guy. And even though he was younger than I was, mainly because of his faith in Christ more than anything, I think I learned more from him than he learned from me off the court, if that makes sense for you. But he came from that background, that family background of putting God first and things of that nature, and it boded well. Again, it was a perfect combination for Bruce and I being at Illinois.
Now you had 3 fantastic years, and then how did you feel that that Lou Henson and the Illini program prepared you for that transition then to the NBA?
Well, I'll say it like this. Coach Henson is a guy, to me, that if you're trying to get to that next level, his style will help you to get there. You know, Lou didn't believe in, you know, he used to call me a hot dog all the time. I gotta say this, because I wanted to pass behind my back. I wanted to throw no-look passes. I thought I was good enough to do that stuff until I got with Lou. He always told me to do it the right way. Keep it simple is one of the things that he preached to me. And it finally got through. I think I became a better basketball player. I know I understood the game better from being coached by Lou Henson, because he was simple and plain. And to me, that means fundamentals, right? And I don't think there are enough fundamental, mentally stable guys at this stage in college basketball anywhere. I think people have forgotten the fundamentals. And that's what Coach Henson provided for me. And we're so different, but I love him so much, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because Lou was different. He wasn't your ordinary guy. He was a different coach, and he was determined to not force you, but encourage you to make the game simple. And I learned how to do that under Lou Henson, the great Lou Henson.
When you chose Illinois, part of it was Johnny Orr. There were a boatload of teams, and then Doc Rivers was also in your class. What type of rivalry did the two of you have? Did you play?
Doc and I've known each other. We've known each other since high school. We played in. I don't know if you remember these different tournaments that young players played in Milledgeville, Georgia. Well, I can't quite remember the name of it, but we were all Americans together, Parade All-American, McDonald's All-American. We share the same birthday, Doc and I do, same age. We watched the draft in the late George Andrews' at his apartment, his townhouse downtown, Michigan Avenue in Chicago. We have a lot in common, and we always competed. I'll never forget Doc sitting in the condo, and so many guys went before him, and we all knew it was a fluke to some degree that he should have gone earlier. But I remember him sitting there talking about all the guys that he's gonna bust up and outplay throughout his career, and it happened for him that way. But I mean, Doc and I have been competing since we were 15, 16 years old. So we go way back. He went to Marquette. I wore him out when we went to the Mecca in Milwaukee. I wore Doc out there, and we've competed throughout the NBA and for a long time. That's a dear friend.
That's such a cool thing, though, that the guy you were playing against in high school, and now you're 60-ish, and you still have that relationship.
Let's get it right. Get it right,
yep.
Michael.
Yep. Well, I was trying to be nice.
No, I appreciate it. We're the same age, though, Mike. So, yeah.
That's such a cool story. Now, when you were talking about the players in college today versus in your era with the fundamentals, you get a rare chance because you're obviously working with the Mavs on broadcasting games like Eddie Johnson and Stephen Bardo. You guys have done amazing work behind the microphone for your teams. Do you ever think, boy, I wish I would have played in the NIL era and had the ability to transfer and get checks and all that?
Yeah, of course you do. I mean, my mother passed away in 2017. And I tease with her when I have my conversation with my mother that asking her, why in the heck did you have me a little bit earlier than you did? You know what I mean? Like, couldn't you just wait a little while and things would have turned out a lot different? But you know, in a nice way, you do envy that. I don't think there's any way around that. I'm happy for the guys now that's getting their opportunity to flourish in that, and that from that standpoint being paid. I think it was just a long time coming. Wouldn't you agree, Mike?
Oh.
That sooner or later, what's going on with all of that now was a thing that was coming for a long time. It finally came to fruition, and here we go. I mean, the cat's out of the bag now, and guys are living their best lives as college players.
When only 2% of the players make it into the NBA or the NFL, and Fox Sports and all these different sports organizations can pay the Big Ten over $1 billion in a year.
$1 billion.
Then you know what? You guys players should have gotten their fair share. I would go back as somebody my age. I always thought, I know he was crazy, but Brian Bosworth, those 44 Oklahoma jerseys, shouldn't he have got like $5 a jersey?
Yeah, Brian. I mean, he was Dennis Rodman, no pun intended, but he was Rodman before Rodman, right? And maybe he was, I think he was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I think he was in college at the same time that I was. And in the event, guys like that would have broke the bank at this stage in college football, baseball, basketball, all of it.
Yeah.
they would have taken it to a different level. So, you kind of feel sorry for those guys. But, one thing I'm a big fan of is that timing when it comes to sports, when it comes to life, is a huge component. And timing is everything. The timing wasn't our time, but, sooner or later it works itself out, and it did.
Yeah. Looking at your career for the Mavericks, you had an incredible career. People may not realize your number is been, retired. What, 12 of 13 years where you're in double digits. You
Yeah.
had a fantastic, went to the Western Conference Finals. I root as an Illini fan. I was rooting
Yeah.
so much for you guys to win that series.
Yeah.
What was the difference like when you're in the NBA playing with those athletes and the people, they've got the skill sets, they've got the athletic ability. What did you have to do to adapt to make sure you got the most out of yourself to compete
Yeah.
with that
Excellent
level?
question. That's an excellent question. Like, everybody thinks it's a big mystery, but if you make it to the league, you've prepared yourself to be there. And I think the thing that allowed me to be successful as a professional college player, high school player, was just all the work that I put in. And I think the work in general gives you the confidence not only to go and compete, but to want to compete against the best, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was so ready for Isaiah when he was at Indiana, Carfino, just Todd Penn, I think his name was, at Ohio State, just Sam Benson at Michigan State, Scott, all of those guys, Mark, I forget, Mark Hall, Trent Tucker, Daryl Mitchell, who I went to high school, shared a high school team with him. I was so ready for those guys because you always want to know where you stack up against the best players in the world, right? In college, I wanted to go to the Big Ten. I mentioned that to you. And that's how it works out. I mean, it's not a mystery. You know you belong, and you can't wait for the opportunity to prove that you belong. And I was able to do that. I don't like to talk about myself and my career and all of that stuff a whole lot because I think the best people to ask about that, Mike, is the guys that I competed against. If you get the opportunity to talk about, Eric Turner and all those guys from the Big Ten back when I was playing, Magic, Isaiah, the guys that you play against when you get to the league and the next level, I would challenge anybody. Just go and ask those guys about Derek Harper, and they will tell you better than I can tell you what I was as a player. And that's enough for me. Eddie and I both were taught it as the best players never to make an all-star team, because I think people forget how good Eddie Johnson was throughout his tenure in the league. I feel the same way. I feel like I tied him up every night, and I bust a lot of people's what while I was doing it.
Yep.
And I think they know better than I can explain, if that makes sense for you.
Because I really believe, I have a theory behind this. Of course, people who listen to the Illini guys, they know I have theories behind a lot of things. But I always felt that in the 1980s, the Montana fans had to be able to justify why he was better than Dan Marino. So that it became like all about championships.
Yes.
And it's a team sport, and it's not necessarily yours or Eddie's fault that you didn't have that one extra guy that put your team over the top.
I agree with you. Especially when I was here in Dallas. Well, I played with some great players, but as well as I know, everything has to come together before you can genuinely be successful. If you're talking college, I thought I had a tremendous group around me. I would put my group up against the all-time great Illini teams because, I had, we talked about Bruce Douglas. We talked about Efren Winters, high school All-American, Anthony Welch, George Montgomery. I just believed in my group. I really did. I believed in all those guys, and just you got to be a little lucky, man, to really reach what the potential that you have. It doesn't just happen. You got to be lucky too. If you look at every championship team, Mike, in the history of championships teams, you talk to their coaches, the players. The one thing they're not going to forget is being a little bit lucky. And I just don't think that it was for us. We weren't lucky enough or didn't get the right kind of breaks to break through and be a champion. But nonetheless, man, the experience itself was overwhelming for me when I look back on it. It was a fantastic career and opportunity to be one of the guys.
As a former Illini player, were you able to sit down and watch the Flying Illini and say, hey, you know what? I'm all for them. And by the way, I helped build that. Is that how did you feel like a sense of?
Oh, yeah. I don't think we embrace the Flying Illini enough. I don't feel like I did, you know what I mean, personally. And I just don't think that any of us did as ex-Illini, because I think, Mike, you guys have to take a lot of credit and joy out of keeping the thing alive. You know, that's what it's all about. I mean, you look at a lot of college championship teams, you go to a game during the tournament, they're at the game. They're sitting right there, rooting the guys on. That part of it I miss. I wish some kind of way I could have come together and with other guys and been a part of, you know, Deron Williams and Nick and, you know, Kendall Gill and all the all-time greats. Battle. I mean, those guys had great teams. I mean, Final Four. I think Final Four one year.
Yeah,
they made it to the Final Four, but they were better teams. I think it kills me to say it, but they were the team that genuinely had an opportunity and had a chance to advance a lot come March Madness. And you know as well as I know, man, it's nothing like that. I mean, you know, when you start talking about March Madness, you had to win or go home. So those were special times for sure. But I certainly supported those guys through the days.
Now, was it special to you watching your career in Dallas and then having another Illini, Deron Williams, come through and have that same type of excellent career? Was that something that was like a little additional flavoring for you?
Yeah, there's no question. I've coached Pee Wee ball with Deron and some of his friends as he was coming through high school, and I don't know. I when I think back, I didn't start Deron on the little team that I was coaching.
Oh, wow.
And I think part of his success is going out there killing it, man, and showing me in a way that he was all of that as a player. And Deron was fantastic and just had one of those careers in the NBA and at Illinois, but more in the NBA that was unprecedented. He could get it done, point blank, period. And different times, different eras, and all that thing. But he was an all-star for a reason. I'll put it to you that way.
People talk about how Dean Smith was the only guy who could slow down Michael Jordan. And when you coached Deron Williams, you were the only guy who could slow him down.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I was coaching for fun. I never had that kind of ambition, but he and my son played. Another one of the guys, Bam was his name. They played high school ball together. But I mean, if I'm being honest with myself, Deron was better than everybody in the Metroplex. He was better than everybody here. He proved it. Went to, golly, I forget the name of the school, but I knew his coach. I knew all of those guys. But Deron was a cold-blooded all-star. I mean, plain and simple.
Yeah, he was a great one. So people can tell by this podcast how good you are at communicating and painting a picture. How did you decide to go into broadcasting? Because that's always fascinating to me. Some players go into coaching, other players just go golf.
Yeah, no, I'm not good enough to go golf. Like you said, I go hack. How about that? But in any event, man, doing when I was in the league, they used to invite players to TNT. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yep.
They used to have guys come in studio and just chop it up.
Yep.
And an executive producer, Tim Cagley, maybe he might be still there at TNT as an executive producer. He was the man at TNT. Pulled me to the side, and he says, "Eric, and this is a true story. I have no idea what you want to do when you're done, but keep this in the back of your mind. I think you can do it. I think you can have a career in doing television." And I hung on to that. The call came, Mark Cuban gave me the opportunity, and I've never looked back. I enjoy the heck out of TV. One of the big reasons why, you got to prep, you got to get yourself ready. It's just like being a player. You have to get ready and prepare yourself to go out there and perform. And the other thing for me is how nervous I get. You know, the feeling you get when you jumping the ball up, getting ready to play in Indiana or at Chrysler or wherever, you know, that feeling of not scared, nervousness, I guess is the right word. I get that same feeling when I'm playing, when I'm doing TV. You know, when you know the deal, Mike. You get that 3, 2, 1, you're live. There's something about that feeling that agrees with my system. And live TV is not perfect, so I'm not always perfect, but I've learned to breathe and to understand what directors do, producers, and the whole 9 yards. I know how it works when it comes to TV. So I've always wanted to do, so to speak.
Yeah, obviously you could tell you're enjoying yourself, but
Yeah.
I would have not known there was the butterfly wing at all.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. But again, Mike, I like it. I think those butterflies means that you care, one, and two, it makes you focus, man. You know, people think I got people that I know and I'm around all the time. Oh man, I could do TV shit. I could, if you doing it, I could go out there and do the same thing. I was like, go for it. You know, like if you think it's that simple, you know better than I know that it's not as easy as people think it is. You have to really be quick on your feet. You have to be witty. And more importantly, like I said earlier, you got to prepare yourself to do television.
That is the truth. I may not do the best job of interviewing people, but it's harder than it looks, folks. I can tell you that.
Oh my God. I would echo those sentiments for sure.
Now with the teams doing so well under Brad Underwood, and I know you've got a heck of a schedule trying to obviously broadcast the Dallas games. Do you get much of a chance to look in on this Illini team?
I watched them this year because of number one, they were good this year as a team. Very competitive as a team. The Big Ten is not the Big Ten anymore. It's changed. It's more of an East, Midwest. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different now when it comes to the Big Ten. But I follow the Illini without a question. I follow them. I pull for them. I wish I could give you my full-fledged thoughts on the Illini this year because I thought they were good enough to go further than they did. So I'm not a broadcaster now. So I'm just proud of what they did, man, throughout the year. But with a break here and a break there, they could have really made some real noise, I thought, during the tournament time. So I'm constantly watching them. And the lefty that just got drafted in the NBA, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, Terrence Shannon Jr.
Terrence Shannon. I think he's a pro. Not only that, I think he's going to make some noise. I think, sometimes there are blessings in disguise, right? And I think the fact that he dropped as a player because of his off the court mishaps and unfortunate things that happened with it, I think he's going to be a surprise player in the NBA this coming up season, because the reason he dropped had nothing to do with his ability to flat out ball as a player. He's a natural scorer, streaky shooter and all of that stuff, but the kid, Terrence, can flat out play the game, great size. I think he has the ability to be a two-way player, all of that stuff. I think he's underrated when it comes to what the rookie class is going to be like this coming season.
Yeah, he's got the physical ability. I keep looking at him, and I keep thinking, had he been born in West Palm Beach, he might have been a wide receiver for Georgia or Alabama.
Right. You know about that football in Florida. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, he has that kind of skill, man. I mean, the kid could play. I think he averaged. He went on a scoring massive. I mean, he went crazy as a scorer the latter part of the season. But you can't tell me he wasn't one of the best players in college basketball closing out the regular season. That's how well he played. Every time I checked on him and watched him, he was putting up numbers and doing big things.
If the gal hadn't filed those charges that were ultimately found to be not correct, I think he would have finished second in the player of the year behind Zach Edey.
Yes.
He would have been a first-team All-American and probably would have been a lottery pick, but we wouldn't see him on a team as complete as what that Minnesota Timberwolves team is.
You're exactly right. I agree with you. He'll have his moment, though. He will have his day on the floor, I guarantee you, because there's something about talent. It overrules everything. And he has to be ready. He has to be ready to seize the moment of his opportunity. It may come early. It may come in between. It may even come late. But he simply has to be ready, because personally, Mike, I just think he has an uncanny ability to score the basketball. And that's never a bad thing at the next level.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Now, I had one final question for you. Did you play basketball against David Williams and Craig Swope? And did they play against you guys, those football players?
Those my guys.
Because Swope was trying to tell me on a basketball court he was pretty darn good.
He didn't lie to you. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
He's a Florida guy. Those are David, I think,
it's California.
Is from California.
Yep.
I knew his brother Ollie.
Yep.
Williams, and those guys came in from California, man, and took Illinois by storm. Okay, I mean, on that football field, they were sensational. But every football player in the world, Mike, thinks that they can play basketball. Everybody. Terrell Owens, Michael Irvin, these guys around here. Who else? Somebody, Swagoo, they call him on TNT. Everybody thinks they can play basketball, but they really can't, man. When it gets down to it, if they spend too much time on a basketball court, Mike, they would be on injury reserve when the NFL season starts. That's all I got for you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know Illini fans love to hear from guys like you, and for the newer fans, they need to know the faces of the guys who built the program. And so we appreciate you coming on.
Man, Champaign, Illinois changed my life, honestly, God. In so many ways, it changed my life, because I'm not gonna say I became a man, because there was still some growing to do, if you would, when you're in college. But Champaign, Lou Henson, Dick Nagy, Bob Hull, just all of the Tony Yates, all of the people that I came in contact with, they helped to grow me, and I'll never forget the experience. Mike Hegman, by the way, that's one of my favorite people, and he's a big Illini supporter. and Quinn Richardson. I mean, I could stay on the phone another 10 minutes and talk about all the guys that I played with and how much fun, and we still have a relationship. So it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much to Derek Harper for coming on tonight's show. We really appreciate that. Hopefully you've enjoyed as we talk to some of the Illini legends of the past. We'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to IlliniGuys.com. Go to IlliniGuys.com. You get a 7-day free trial, $99 per year. I'll tell you what makes it special. You get all the stories, but more importantly, you get the opportunity to go into the message boards. And that's where we can put a lot of the rumors, the innuendos, the things that are going on that maybe you can't always get two sources for. That's where you find it at. We'd love to have you be a member. And that way you're not surprised by things that happen in Illini world. You kind of have a little bit of a warning. Also, you can subscribe at the IlliniGuys.com channel on YouTube. You can get some of our videos. If your stomach can handle it, then we want you to be able to try. Otherwise, you get our audio. You can follow our podcast on just about any podcast distributor. And of course, every week you can hear the Illini Guys Sports Spectacular. It's on over 20 stations across the state of Illinois. Go to IlliniGuys.com, hit the radio button. You can find what station's closest to you, what day, Friday or Saturday that it's on, and what time, and you can tune in. And of course, we also released it as a podcast as well. Thank you so much. And until next time, go Illini.